to make somebody good on film that's not good on film. And there's just certain people. So for instance, if you were talking about plastics, let's say somebody at Stanford is studying that. And it could be the head of the department who's like won all the awards and been there forever and done his thing. It could be that somebody under him, younger, more energetic, more savvy about the media or something, is the one we really want to talk to. Those are all things that we can talk through together once you get into the research. But that's what we're saying about characters. You want people who are interesting and pop out on film. Meaningful expert, that kind of goes with what we were saying before. Like you want to have somebody that knows what they're talking about. You know, you want to get somebody who's really studied it, not somebody who just has an opinion. You know, like, I think the oceans are getting warmer. You know, they're definitely getting warmer. How do you know? I just know. It's obvious. They're getting warmer. You need somebody who's studied it, who's written a paper, who's like really has some kind of credentials as a scientist or as somebody who knows an oceanographer. Or that could also be like a fisherman. Like if you're doing ghost fishing, an expert doesn't have to have a degree. An expert just has to know what they're talking about. It has some kind of credibility. And so if you were talking about the way that nets are left on the bottom of the sea, you could go down to the wharf and talk to a fisherman and ask that person, say, is this a problem? And he could say, yeah, it's a problem. I've been fishing for 30 years. People are just leaving the stuff on the bottom of the ocean and it's just wrong because it's killing the fish. That's an expert. It's also like a visual scene on a wharf somewhere, somebody on a boat, Something active, again, somebody doing something, whether it's like a tape measure or taking water out and looking at it with a test tube, or boats are always good on this kind of shoot. If you have something where somebody's doing an experiment, or if you get in touch with a fisherman and he doesn't mind going out on the boat, that's always better than something static. Tension and excitement is a plus. This is definitely a plus, and if you come to me with something that's tense and exciting, then we'll definitely talk about it and consider it. It could be somebody trying to save a dolphin at the beach or something like that, or there's a lab where they're dealing with shorebirds that are hurt by pollution, and the drama would then be, oh my God, there's a piece of plastic around this bird's neck. Is it going to survive? Something like that. And then the research content, again, we keep coming back to this point again and again and again, just know your stuff. And all along the way, every step of this way, if you need help on anything, it's going to be, you're going to have your parents to talk to. But also, I'm available anytime. We have these checkpoints that we're going to check in officially, but also definitely you guys will have my contact information, and if there's a question or something like that, all along this process, feel free to check in with me. Any questions about this list? Anybody want to add to it or subtract from it? Okay.
Here's a mnemonic on that. If you guys, those who like to mnemonic, it spells out V care with a V. V for visual, E for excitement, and then the rest of the words spell care. So you can remember we care, and that if you want to quickly recall it. That's how I remember things.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, that's great you pulled that out.
Or you can also call it wet care if you want to do the vet. V-E-T, because T is for tension. So V for visual, E for excitement, T for tension, so it's vet, as in veterinary. And then character, active, researched, expert spells care. So vet care gets you all the words you need to remember when you're in the field. You don't need this note.
That's awesome.
So this is what you're doing while I'm talking? You're
Yes, I was trying to many combinations.
I'm wondering what other people are like drifting on. Okay, that's great.
David, is there a recommendation for reaching out to people, experts in the field?
Yeah, I mean, April and I were talking about this today a little bit. Like, so if this were my assignment, if I were doing it, I'd literally Google warm tide pools problem Santa Cruz, University of Santa Cruz. I mean, you got University of Santa Cruz, Stanford.
Right.
You got all these like Davis, all these places around that have all these study things up and down the coast here. I know there's one in Marin.
Marine Lab.
Yeah. So I would just Google them, and you'll come up with all these people right away, and then you kind of like see, who fits the mode, who fits this. And also, sometimes I feel like if you have a choice between somebody who's, you can look to have their pictures, you have a choice of who you want to cast, There's a lot of young women who are, or like women in general, who are in this subject matter. And I think there's just a bunch of girls in the group. I think that's really important to have kind of diversity in terms of like who the characters are. I mean, that's a bigger film thing, but I think my inclination would be to go to somebody who's a little hungrier sometimes. Some of the ones who are like the total experts have two problems. One, they cannot talk down. They can't put it into normal words. They just can't talk about the science that they do. Like I've had brain people I've talked to, and they're like, "Can you just say the left side of the brain? It's left side of the brain, right? Left side, left. That's not the sinister hemisphere, And they're afraid of what they're going to encounter in the next conference that they go to, and someone's going to make fun of them because they see them on TV talking, And some of the more like graduate student types people, or the more adjunct professors and things like that, can sometimes know a lot, be right involved in the experimentation, and also be more approachable because you have more time. And,
So once you've found somebody, we Google stalk them or LinkedIn stalk them.
Right.
How do you? Is there a more successful method for approaching those people?
So the method is email. Write an email, and the deal is once you write one email, once you craft one email that says, "Dear Dr. So-and-so, I am working on a film project, an independent film project." Because here's the thing with this. This is the thing. This is the beautiful thing about making a film. I have to say, is that one of my favorite things about making films is I can call anybody in the entire world. If I have a film project, I can call anybody about it. I could call the Dalai Lama and say, "I'm doing a film project on a cathedral in Florence. Can you please tell me what you think about it? Have you ever been there? Like, what do you think of it?" I could call President Obama and say, he may not answer, but it's once you have that project, once you have that mission of doing a film, people respond to it in a way that they wouldn't respond to just a normal 12-year-old saying, "Hey, I have a question about plastic in the oceans." The film project gives you access, and that's the thing that I really love about what I do.
So that's some of the key word would be like independent
film project. Yes.
And would you lead off with something like, "Hi, I'm with Heirs to the Oceans," or would you say, "Hi, I'm working on a film project"? Or does it matter? You kind of
I would say, "Hi, I'm working on a film project. We're calling it Heirs to the Oceans, and it's it's a group of young people doing a film about to get people educated and activated about the oceans."
And would it be helpful to take a URL of the video that you just shot, even though it's this pre-shot of the kids talking, and maybe excerpt that and put it in the email so that you have something visually to connect to with a bunch of kids?
I would do that. I mean, I think they would respond to the email. I think if it's a more harder sell and they want to know more about it, then you can
provide them.
more. Okay. Yeah. But it's amazing. I mean, people just write you back like, "Oh yeah, I'm really interested. Like, call me," or they say, "I'm gone for 3 months and I'll write you when I get back," and then follow up with the phone call. But the thing is that first email that you craft, since it's the same topic for everybody, that works for everybody, basically. You say, "I read your article," or "I saw your thing in the San Jose Mercury about you're cleaning up the beach or something. I was really interested. It sounds like the perfect right up our alley." And again, it's the kind of thing. I mean, I can help with if people are nervous about it, and then to follow up with a phone call.
And probably edit your emails information so that when you send it, it doesn't say it's coming from FuzzyCat92. Right?
I don't know if anybody pays attention to that, but it's like, that would be. That might actually. I mean, and I have to say, in my experience working with young people, there are people who turn down press organizations and say yes to educational organizations. They wouldn't want 60 Minutes coming in there, Frontline. You're like, but if it's a group of committed young people who seem serious and have their act together, then a lot of times they're open to it. And a lot of times it's their mandate. Sometimes they've gotten funding to do educational outreach, and they're like, "Oh, perfect, check a box, help them out."
So should we be contacting these folks now? So, I mean, for example, my daughter is Sophia, who's more working on bluefin tuna, and we know there's a tuna research institute in Monterey.
Yep.
And we've been holding back the email.
Yep.
We keep being like, "Oh, we can email them. Let's not do that yet because we need permission from the film."
Should we go to the next The answer is yes, there's a
Yes.
timeline.
Da-da-da. Yeah, now's the time. Now's the time. Yeah, because so this is the assignment. So to study, research the issue, the person you're going to address in an interview. And I would say one. You know what I mean? Like, so you were saying, should we have a backup? So what's going to happen is you're going to reach out to people and they're not going to respond. And then you go to your back, or you reach out to 2 or 3 right at the same time and see who responds. If you have 2 or 3 possibilities, I would go for all of them. Because A, not all of them might respond, and B, if they do all respond, then you can say, well, this person is good in this way, and this person's actually going on a boat next week and has invited us to come along, or going to be down the seashore, you know, taking measurements or collecting mollusks or something, and fit certain criteria. It's really fun. It's actually one of my favorite parts of the job, is to like be able to talk to these really smart people and learn something that I never knew before constantly. Interesting or relevant location. So these are again the kind of like guidelines that you want to get. So you could talk to somebody and they could be perfect, and you could say, well, you know, where can we interview you? And they could say, well, you can come to my office, and I have a nice bookshelf behind me that might make a good backdrop. And you're like, oh, could we meet you at the beach, or could we meet you down at the dock, or, you know. And if they're willing to do that, then that makes a big difference. So the check-in date about this is going to be Monday, which is next Monday.
So yes, start now, Sophia.
Start yesterday.
And this check-in may be we can't find anybody, or we can't get an email, or we Googled the issue and there's nobody anywhere in the neighborhood that has anything to do with it.
So this is just a list of people potential, not we haven't reached
well,
out to.
If you feel like go ahead and reach out to, go ahead.
Right.
Yeah, this is just a progress report in terms of like, I found this person, I emailed them, I heard back from them, they seem interested. I mean, the whole thing could be done. It's not going to happen, but I mean, maybe it will. But, by that day, but it's going to be just good to know what you found. I mean, I just did a really quick Google thing on most of these issues that the young people identified, and I found people around.
Yeah, I know we did some on our own as well.
Yeah. So there's possibilities. So that's coming up here, and then the efforts to contact the people if you're having difficulty, and we're going to have a check-in date later that week, so the Thursday of that week. Thursday, the 21st, is going to be the time we're going to talk about it. Okay, where are you? Have you heard back from anybody? Has anybody responded to you? We got any yeses? You know what's going on? And so when they say, what do you want? My approach with this, okay, here's the thing that never works. Here's the thing that ever works. It never works for someone to say, hello, Dr. Smith, do you want to be on TV? Do you want to be in a film? Like, that never works. Well, the approach that works best is like the gradual approach. The approach is like, hi, we're researching it. We're in the early stages of doing research on an independent film about the oceans. And we want to make sure we know what we're talking about. We want to get our facts straight. You seem to be doing really interesting research into this. You're right down the road. Do you mind if we call you and talk to you? So let's just have a conversation first. And you're going to learn something in that conversation that you didn't know before, okay? And so once you get into that conversation, you could say, and the conversation might last a half an hour or something. Maybe you have your list of questions together and other stuff. And at the end of the conversation, you say, wow, that sounds really interesting. That sounds like something we might want to get on film. Would you be willing to, be on film? But you don't, approach them and say, hi, you want to be on film? Because everybody's going to be like, no, I don't want to be on film. That's the last thing I want. But if they hear you and you engage them and they hear your questions and they hear your interest and your enthusiasm, then at the end of that process, you say, wow, it'd be so great if you have some time that we could get together with the crew and, start schedule some time for you. And then they're more likely to say, yeah, that'd be kind of fun. You seem like a good, serious person, and it sounds like kind of thing I'd like to do. So we'll talk on Thursday, and so I'm up in Oregon here. I'm in back in Washington D.C. by here, but we can Skype and we can schedule something where we can all talk, either as a group or sort of a series of groups or something.
So just to summarize what you're saying is, the first ask is I want to meet you to talk with you about the issue.
I want to have a phone call.
Phone call.
Yeah.
The second ask is I'd like to meet you or not. But the second ask is if they say it's very interesting in the phone call,
Right.
ask them, would you be okay to
Yeah.
or be part of
Yeah,
one of
it'd
the
be
films
great,
you're making?
would you consider being a part of? Would you,
So it's
you
a two-part
are
ask.
you around? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because again, it's kind of like a lot of these other stuff. If they say no, I'm not around. If you've had a half an hour conversation with the leading person in your subject matter, and then you get to the end of the half hour and you say, "Wow, gee, would you consider being, filmed for our show?" And they say, "Oh, I'd love to, but I'm leaving tomorrow for wow." It's not a waste of time. That half an hour that you've talked with this leading researcher is not a waste of time. Because then the next time you talk to the next researcher, you say, "Wow, I talked to Dr. Smith over at Santa Cruz, and she said this and this and this, and it's really interesting. And it sounds like what you're doing is kind of similar or maybe a little different." And they're going to be impressed that you talked to Dr. Smith, and they're going to be, and you're going to know what you're talking about more and more and more. Every conversation you have, you're going to learn more about the subject matter. Yeah.
Do you ever find it's useful if someone's not interested or maybe they're not interesting to ask them if they know somebody?
Yes. Yep. Recommendations. Oh, do you have any recommendations of somebody who we should talk to here? You've heard now about our project a little bit. You understand my interest more. Is there somebody that might really be interested in helping us out, or somebody I should know about? Because they all know each other. They all go to conferences together. They all compete with each other. And that happens. That's a really good question. That happens a lot. Right? Like word of mouth. That really is what get you going. And then your next email is, Dr. Smith recommended I contact you about this project, and that really helps. The first couple are really sometimes difficult. The other thing that I've done in the past when I'm talking about a subject matter I don't really know much about is I sometimes record the phone call so I can listen to it again later on. Wait, what was he saying again? Like, what was he saying about? I tell them I'm recording. I'll say, do you mind if I record the call and take notes? But sometimes if you're into like scientific stuff, you don't really have a total handle on. It's really helpful.
Is it okay to say if they're going on vacation, but you want to get their ideas? Is there somebody who works in your department?
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
So we get somebody who works for them,
Right.
who
Sure.
could be there in the month of August.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that happens a lot, especially with scientists. You probably know it's like there's the head people, and then there's the people, the worker bees, who are like just as knowledgeable, but maybe have more time. So then what we're going to do also in July 3rd is talk about the kind of equipment. If we have any clue as to what the shoot's going to be like, what kind of equipment we might need for that shoot. It could be a drone, it could be underwater camera. Like when you shot at the beach the other day, and you were doing things with the sea anemones under the water. It just cried out for having like a GoPro under the camera or something to cut from kids like starting to reach in, just seeing the finger like going with the sea anemone. But there's little things like that we can prepare on these shoots that are going to be better.